Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, starting with DXY on the daily, like we usually do. We're looking at WXY. We're still in this wave Y, and then we'll be looking for X2 down to that 38.2, and then the Z up. We do have starting to get divergence between the two tops. So we're looking for sells on H4. My internet is a little bit slow, so just have to bear with me. In here, nothing's changed since last week. I was looking for an A. I was just looking for a B in here a couple of weeks ago, and then a C down. Instead, we got that wave breaking the top. It's starting to get a little bit complex because we can look at this as an A, B, C in here, and then we get an A, B, C, then we get an A, B, C, finishing off this B wave, then we get an A, B, C. So it may turn into a larger correction, and I'm sort of looking at this as the possible structure that we get. So it will become quite complex. If I just go down to the H1, if I can get it to load. So we got this WXY. We had that possible ball hidden. I was looking for the Z up to go and break the top. Instead, we got that larger correction. So we just got a WXY up in here. Then we got an A. Then we're looking at an A here. This is the B wave, and then we get that C up, like I mentioned. So we may get a, if you get any bearish setup in here, you can look for that sell. We do have that bearish divergence between these two tops, but you're going to have to be very careful, because if I just zoom out a bit, this still may be a flat in here. So we get an A, B, C in here as a running flat in here before we get an A, B, C. So you really have to be careful. For the sell, you want it to go and break that low and then give you a shallow correction or flag, and then look for the sell. For the buy, you don't really want to sell this in here. You want to wait for your bullish setup. Wait for this wave to be over, and then your bullish setup, and then you can look for that like A, B, C. You're really only scalping just to break that top, because we already have the bearish divergence, so it starts to get risky. But this is looking like possible flat in here. So if you are looking for the sell, you're going to have to be careful of this scenario that goes and breaks the top and then gives you the bearish setup. AU on the daily. So we got that. We're looking for A, B, C on the daily, on the weekly, sorry. On the daily, like I mentioned, in this wave down in here, we lost all that bullish divergence. So I was just looking for a correction in here and then another one down. You sort of see that this is looking corrective in here. You can see that I've got an A. I'm looking for this structure in here on the daily before we get more downside. We're basically looking for the longs, only looking to buy. Now this may not be over in here. During the week, I was looking for this to be a little bit more impulsive up here and give us a flat in here, but it fell over early. So I was sort of only looking at it as an A, B, C as a contracting flat. We are getting the bullish divergence, but there's nothing to say that this wave here isn't over yet. If we go down to the H1, very slow internet. So we're looking at this WXY. I'll be looking for an X2 and then a Z down. We may possibly get bear hidden here, a bear hidden in the X2, and then come down, break the low, and then we'll get that in this wave Z. We start getting that bullish divergence, then you can start to look for that buy. Again, at this stage, it's not really ready. You know, we want to see this X2 and then a Z down. The only other way you could look for the buy is you go and break that top and then look for your correction and then look for the buy. EU on the daily. Going to have to let it load. So we got this WX, we're still in this wave Y and looking for an X2 up to that 38.2, and then we'll be looking for that Z down. This one here didn't break this low. We never got breaks to the low on these, so we don't have any bullish divergence. On the H4, if we can get it to load. If you just look at this last bit here, well, nothing's changed. We've got an A. I was looking for a B and a C up. This is looking more like an A, B, C in here. Like I mentioned last week, we may get this scenario here where we get 3 down breaking the low, and then we get an A, B, C. This 100 fib here may change depending on how far this one here goes down. This wave, a little bit early, but we'll put the trend line on. So ideally, we really want to see this wave here go and break that low, and then you can look for the buy. Get any buy set up, well, then you can look to buy up to that 100 fib. Again, this wave in here may not be over, and can even go and break that low. Not just this low, but this low as well. So, you know, you've got to wait for this to be over before you can buy it. On the H1, again, it's not looking ready to go. It's looking more like a flat in here. So you get an A, this is a B, this is a C for your running or expanding flat, and then you get an A, B, C. So if you're looking for the buy, you really want it to go and break that top, and then give you the bullish setup. If it doesn't give you this bullish setup, you don't look for that buy, because more than likely it's a flat and you'll get a sell setup on it just for a scalp to go and break that low for the A, B, C. GU on the daily. So we're looking at that WX still in this wave Y. Then we'll be looking for that X2 up to 38.2 and then the Z down. On the H4, again, it's getting very complicated because we had that like WXY. X2, we had the bear hidden here, but we haven't broken the low. We did get a nice deep correction, but this may be just an WXY, and then we get an A, B, C, and then we get like a larger A, B, C. So again, I don't think we're going to reverse from here because we got this such a deep correction. So any sort of buy setup you get, you know, look for the buy. We don't have any bullish divergence, so it makes it difficult. We don't have any bullish divergence on this one. So you really have to wait for a nice setup before you buy, because this may turn into a bear hidden here. And then you get another one down. And it may even break that low for like an A, B, C. The B wave can break the low. So, you know, wait for a nice setup. But we got a nice impulse here. Fortunately, we don't have the bullish divergence. But if you get a nice bullish flag, it is very risky because, again, we don't have that bullish divergence. So, you know, it becomes very risky. But if you're going to attempt it, keep tight stops. And you on the daily, if I can get it to load. So we're looking at this W, very large X, and then we're looking for that Z, WX. We're in this wave Y. We've hit that 161.8 now. But again, we sort of got 1, 2, 3 down in here. So it may turn into a flat for an A, B, C, and then you get that A, B, C. So again, it may not be over. This wave Y, we may be still in this wave Y. Looking at the H4 when it loads. Very annoying when you have slow internet. So nothing's changed since last week. I was looking for an A, B, C. Instead, we got an A, B, C in here by the look of it. This one never went. So sort of get an A, B, C up in here as a running or expanding flat. And then you get an A, B, C finishing off the B wave. And then you get the C up as a larger flat before we get more downside. So it may become a very large correction, but you're really only looking for buys. I mean, if we go down to the H1, we've lost the bullish divergence between the last two, but overall we still do have that bullish divergence. So this, again, it's going to be risky. It's like the GY, you know, that GU, sorry. If you get the buy, you can buy. It's quite risky because we don't have the bullish divergence between the last two. So it is quite risky, but yeah, that's all you can sort of do. Ideally, it goes up and breaks this top and then gives you a nice correction, and then you can look for that buy. UY on the daily. So we got that WX extended wave Y. We're still in that wave Y. Then we'll be looking for the X2 down 38.2 and then the Z up. On the H4, again, it's become quite tricky. I'll just zoom out. It's not loading. We got that X2, the Z up. Here it goes. very annoying when slow internet. We got that W, X, Y, X2, Z up. The problem was we lost all the bearish divergence in this Z up. Between the last three tops, we do have bearish divergence, but there's nothing to say this wave Y here is still not over. If we go down to the H1, we can see sort of got this big move up in here, and we got 3 up, so that gave us that bearish divergence. Then we're looking at A, B, C, so we are looking for a little bit more downside. But the problem is, again, we can look at it as an A, B, C in here as a flat, as a running flat, possible running flat, and then if you get a buy set up, well, you could look for the buy just to break that top. It's more of a scalp for the A, B, C. Yeah, very, if you're buying, keep tight stops because you are at a top. My internet is really slow, but I'll push on. Getting onto the USD Sheppy on the daily. So nothing's changed on the daily. Looking at WXY, I was just looking for an ABC up to the 100 fib. It got up to the 123.6. So I was just looking for a correction in here, and then another one up. On the H4, I was still looking for that Z up on the H4. So we got a WXY, X2, and a Z. We're looking for this Z up. So any buy setup you get, look for that Z. I mean, this isn't looking the best because we've got, this is very sharp, this is very sharp, and this is quite sharp. We can look at it as an A, like an A, B, and a C for that X2. Really like to see a bullish setup in here. We do have these corrections are of a similar size now in time. So yeah, definitely look for that Z up, and nothing's changed since the targets last week, I think. Yeah, so you're looking at that 123.6 and the 161.8 as your first and your second target. Looking at UCAD on the daily. So we're looking at that A, B, C. Ideally goes up to that 100 fib. Hadn't quite got there yet. It is still looking a little bit bullish. Looking at the H4. Like I said last week, you can't really look for, we can only really look for buys, like I said. We lost all the bearish divergence, so we didn't have any bearish divergence. So I was just looking for a correction in here and then another one up. So this here, if we go down to the H1, you can see what I'm looking for. Looking for like a W, X, Y, X2, Z down. So if you do get any little bearish setup in here, you can look for it. You definitely want to be at break even at the break of that low, because we more than likely will get bullish divergence in here. And then any buy setup you get, look for that buy, because it'd be A, B, C. UY on the daily. So nothing's changed on the daily. We're looking at W, X, Y, X2, and we've got the Z up. We've got the bearish divergence. So we're looking for a larger correction down to this 50 fib. At least down to this 50 fib. It may go lower, like we don't know how deep this correction will be, but we're looking for a correction in here. On the H4, H4 didn't play out like I mentioned last week. We're looking at W, X, Y, X2. We had that ball hidden, got a very deep correction, but it never went and broke that top. So what we can look at is like this is one wave, and then we get an A. This is looking more like a B wave, so we can look at it as an A, B, C. Then you get that A, B, C before we get A, B, C, and then fall over. On the H1, you can see what I'm looking at, and you're probably better off to trade this H1. So we're looking at W, X, Y. We're still in this wave Y, but we'll be looking for an X2 and then a Z down. We don't have any bullish divergence, so we may get a bear hidden in here again, you know. May get a bear hidden in that X2, and then we get that Z down. So there's really, I mean, if you get a correction in here, you really have to trade on the lower time frames, but you'd be looking for like an A, B, and then you could trade that C up. If it does reverse on you, well, all good. If it just comes up and gives you a C up and then gives you a sell set up for the Z down, well, you can scalp it, you know. EG on the daily. Again, this has become very complex, like I've mentioned. You know. So we can look at it as W, X, Y, X2, very choppy, Z down, or like I'm looking at it as an A, B, C as a flat in here before we get an A, B, C. This has been very difficult to trade because you can see how choppy this is. Very difficult to trade. On the H4, if I can get it to load. Well, we don't have any bearish divergence between the two tops. Like, we lost all the bearish divergence. This is looking impulsive here. So this may, how annoying. Slow internet. But maybe A, B, C, and that's the end of it. And then you get that A, B, C going breaking the top. That's why this is so risky, because this structure here may play out and we go up and break that top. So again, it's extremely risky. There's not much you can really do. I mean, if you're looking for the sell, you really, I'd stay out of it. There's really nothing on it. It's so choppy. It's very difficult to trade. Looking at the gold on the daily. So we're looking at this A, B, and the possible C up. We still do have this ball hidden here in play. still is that bull hidden. So this can go up and break that top. On the H4, it's looking very very difficult, because I was just looking for an A, B, C up in here up to the 100 pip and then give us more downside. But it's become even more complex. Like an A, B, and we got the C up, and we had that bearish divergence, and we had this down. Just looking for a sell in there, but it's become more complex. At this stage now, you can see what I'm looking at. We're looking at an A. This is choppy, so I'm looking at B, then the C up, and then if you get any bearish setup, well, then you could look for that sell. Or you could look for the buy on the H1. If you get any bullish setup in here, you could look for that buy up to that 100 fib. WTI on the daily. Here we go. So we're looking at that A B, and a C. We're looking for the larger correction. Like I mentioned, if you go back through my videos, we got that Z up, but we lost all the bearish divergence. So I'm just looking for a correction in here and then more upside. Nothing's changed since last week. There is a couple of ways we can look at this. Like, it's following the arrows pretty much that I've had on for a few weeks now. So I'm looking for an A, B, C before we get the larger A, B, C on the daily. We can look at it both ways. We got a lower low here, so we can look for a correction and then another one down. Or, you look for this up in here. Pretty hard to explain, but without, doing my course, I can't give too much away. But you can see in here, we got a bear hidden here. So we can go and break that low before we get that one up. If I go down to the H1, you'll see what I'm looking at. Again, the problem is, I believe this is going to become more complex, because we look at that as an A, and this is rather sharp. So we may get an A down in here, and then we get an A, B, C in here, and then you get an A, B, C. The B wave may even break that low, and then you get that A, B, C. So we may get a more complex correction in here, and I think that's what we're going to get because of how sharp this is. So if you're looking for the buy in here, you can look for it, but just be mindful that it may be just an A, B, C, and then you get another one down in here for an A, B, C, and then you look for that A, B, C. So you could scalp all this, look at the structures that are forming during next week and trade it accordingly. I mean, that's the structure I'm looking at this stage. This in here is an A, B, C, then you get that A, B, C before you get that larger A, B, C. Bitcoin on the daily. So we're looking for upside, but it's like I said, we still get an A, B, C in here. We still can get down to that 100 fib. before we get more upside. So we're still in this C wave. I believe we still do have the bullish divergence in here. On the H4, H4 become more difficult because we got the 5 down, but we lost all the bullish divergence. So I was just looking for a correction in here and then another one down to give us that bullish divergence. We are getting it like an A, B, C in here. So if you get any buy setup, you could look for an A, B, C, and then you'd be looking for downside. If I go down to the H1, so we got a wave up in here. Then we got an A, B, C. This one never went. You know, I was hoping this one here would go and give us that A, B, C, and then you know you get that sell set up and you can sell. It's become more difficult now because there's no real setup to buy on it. We got a nice impulse up, but it's extremely deep correction. So it more than likely it's just an A, B, C for more downside. So yeah, if you do get a buy setup, you could look for it, but just be very careful. I mean, yeah, there's nothing really on it at this stage. Because we didn't, like I said, you know, we didn't get the bullish flag or correction, you know. Instead, we got a very deep correction, which makes it difficult. SPX on the daily. If I can get it to load. Okay. So we're looking at that WX. We're still in this wave white. Then I'll be looking for an X2 up to the 38.2 fib retracement, and then the Z down. We don't have any bullish divergence. And this is becoming quite tricky as well. Because sort of looking at it as an A, B, C, as a larger correction, but it's not really playing the game. This was very impulsive. We lost all the bullish divergence. So I was just looking for a correction in here for more downside. It's been very difficult to trade. I've been trying to trade it on the H1. On the H1, we got that WXY. I was looking for an X2. We were getting that ball hidden, and I was looking for that Z up. Now it's just like we got a wave up here. We've got a wave up here, and then looking at that as a B wave and a C up. We won't get the Z up because this correction here is too large, you know. So it is still, we still do have that possible ball hidden. So I can't rule that out. And this can go up and break that top with that ball hidden present. You really need a bullish setup, which is going to be difficult because we've broken this trend line. So we can look at it as an A, B, C. If you get a bearish setup, you could look for the sell. And if you get a bullish setup, you could look for the buy to go and break that top for the bull hidden. And this is a larger correction, and we get an A, B, C on the H4. So you can sort of trade it both ways, which makes it quite risky because, you know, but yeah. AU 200 on the daily. Got a very deep pullback, like I've been mentioning. We've got a WX, very deep pullback. I was just looking for a C down, up down to that 100 fib, but we got a wave Y. it's gone down to that 123.6, and it can even come down to this 161.8. We're still in this wave Y. So there's nothing to say this wave Y is over yet. If you look at the H4, you can see what I'm looking at. Looking at W, X, Y, looking for a correction in the X2 and then a Z down. We do have the possible bear hidden. It's not valid to trade as bear hidden just yet, but we'll be looking for more downside. Again, it's looking very may become complex because we may get an A, B, C in here. Then you get that A, B, C as a running or expanding flat in that H4X2. So yeah, looking at the DAX on the daily. Looking at this W, very deep X2, and then we've got that wave Y down. Then I was just looking for an A, B, C before we get more like an A, B, C. Like I've mentioned a couple of weeks, this one here never went and broke that top, so it become more complex, difficult to trade. Looking for this sell. Now we're starting to get bullish divergence. So I'd be looking for the buy on this particular one. If I can get it to load. Let's see. Sort of lost the bullish divergence. Like, we do have bullish divergence overall. Overall, we do have that bullish divergence. So if you do get it, ideally you'd really want to go and break that top to take out any possible bear hidden in here, you know, because you may get a bear hidden in here, because we don't have the bullish divergence between the last two lows. So you may get a bear hidden and then another one down and then give you the bull divergence. So it becomes quite hard when you don't get the divergence. So ideally, I mean, I'd be waiting for this to go and break that top and then give you the bullish setup to buy, just to take out that possible bear hidden that may form. And the FTSE on the daily. Again, this has become very complex. Extremely deep pullback. So we got a nice move down and we got a very deep correction. So sort of got an A, B, C up in here, and then we're looking for an A, B, C. This one still hasn't gone broken that low. H4, we got a bear hidden here, you know. Very difficult to buy, you know, because we have a possible bear hidden. So this may just be, I mean, if we go down on the H1, we'll probably see, may get 5 up here, and then we'll be looking for the sell. So you're sort of looking at it like a WXY, X2, you got the bull hidden here. So you'll be looking for that Z up, breaking that top, and then you'll be looking for any sell setup you get. You'll be looking for the sell to go and break the low. But you'd be looking for, you know, if you get a buy set up in here, you could look for that buy to go and break that top. Your targets would be, you know, things in the road here. So you're looking at that 161.8 and the 123.6 as your targets. So you'd be looking for 123.6 and the 161.8. You definitely want to be a break even at the break of that top. And if you get the sell set up, definitely look for the sell. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. Please share, like, subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.